Do you want to know what the number one emotion is behind every limitation and every negative mindset is? I mean, just insert any complicated belief system that prevents you from moving forward. Can you guess what it is? It's fear, y'all. It's fear. Whenever people meet with me for coaching, they fill out a specific form, and the form gives me a little bit of detail about why they're interested in coaching and what they perceive are the barriers. And sometimes people will say things like, I'm really hard on myself. I don't know why I feel so stuck that I can't move forward. I really want to do X, but I'm just so unsure of myself. And when I hear phrases like that, it just comes back to fear. It always comes back to fear. And some people can quickly identify that. They can say, yes, this emotion that I'm feeling is fear, and I don't know how to move forward. While others haven't made the connection yet because they haven't gone deep enough. Because on the surface level, it might look like something that irritates me, that frustrates me in my life. I could be blaming someone else for it. Underneath all of that is just fear. Welcome to the Monday Message. My name is Francis. This is just bite-sized nuggets to help you to think deeper and inspire you to take action and create more momentum in your life. So my goal in this video is to illustrate how you can harness the power of fear to your advantage and make positive, long-lasting changes in your life. From a biological standpoint, fear is a natural response to perceived danger. And it's something that we all experience. Like, no one is exempt from fear. Well, there might be some people, but I've yet to meet them. It's usually a survival mechanism that protects us from physical harm by triggering our bodies to run away, freeze, or fight back against whatever we perceive as a threat. But y'all, unless you're living in the backwoods somewhere, we're no longer fighting lions and bears, okay? So although we're not fighting lions and bears, we're still feeling this sense of fear. So fear in the regular sense can feel quite paralyzing and debilitating, and it gets in the way of your ability to function effectively, whether it's holding you back from pursuing your passions or making it difficult for you to move forward towards something that's really important to you. Fear is often the enemy that I bet you want to get rid of. You're like, nah, B, I don't want you here. You may not pass go and collect $200. But I think it's important to understand what fear does for us. Fear, if you allow it, can be the launching pad that drastically changes your life for the better. It's one of the most powerful emotions that we have aside from love. So I want to transition to what fear might be trying to tell you. Fear might be a sign that you're approaching unfamiliar territory. You're going outside of your comfort zone. We do this all the time, especially if somebody says, hey, can you speak up in front of 200 people and just say something, or 5 people? And we're like, we start feeling a bit of panic because maybe we have a fear of public speaking. Usually the comfort zone is asking, what is it that you need to do, to be, or to learn to move through this discomfort? I gave the example earlier about the public speaking thing, but if you're afraid of starting a business or applying for a job, what is the fear underneath that? Is it a skill gap thing or a self-confident thing, which can be a little bit of both? But with both situations, these are skills that you can learn. Every situation outside of your comfort zone is an opportunity for you to learn something about yourself and maybe even learn something about those around you. Fear can also mean stop and feel. It's like the red light on your dashboard that's telling you that there's an issue with your car and you need to get it fixed. That's fear. Not that you need to get fixed, right? No, you get it. You see fear and you might want to run, but it's really a moment to pause, to reflect. It might be an indicator that something is out of alignment because it's recognizing that a change needs to take place. The key is not to give in to fear and run away or hide from it, but rather learn how to work with it so that it doesn't stop you from pursuing what you truly want in life. If you haven't realized it, fear is a necessary part of life, and it's not something that we can completely avoid. Honestly, we're not supposed to. That's why we're here. We're here to evolve. But the first step is learning how to move past your fears and changing how you relate to them. Instead of seeing them as something negative and debilitating, I'm encouraging you to start viewing them as the catalyst necessary to change your life. So if you want to move past your fears, keep watching. I'm going to share some tips and some key things to remember as you're experiencing whatever it is that might feel very scary for you. The first thing is, you know what I always say, dig deep. So dig deep into the root cause of your fear. It's usually not the fear itself. As FDR said, the fear of fear is often greater than the fear itself. If it's a confidence thing, like I mentioned earlier, then what is the skill that you need to learn? If it's a self-worth thing, what belief system do you need to dismantle about yourself so you can rewrite your narrative? Be honest with yourself about what scares you the most and why. You might feel embarrassed to openly share what's really underneath that fear. But I remember when Brené Brown said a long time ago that she keeps her shadows in the front of her versus in the back because they can only pull you down from behind. So face your shadows, face your fears, face the darkest parts of yourself because fear needs illumination. The more that it's hidden in the dark, the tighter the grip that it has on you. Make a plan. I know this is very like thinking, using your mind, but with something like fear that hijacks your emotions, make a plan for overcoming fear and then write that down so when it comes up again, if it comes up again, you'll know what to do next. One thing that Tim Ferriss does, if you're familiar with Tim Ferriss, he's a podcaster, writer, he wrote The 4-Hour Workweek. He writes a fear-based plan, and I thought this was genius. Essentially, he writes all the worst possible scenarios and then looks at them through an objective lens. And then as he reflects on what he writes, he asks himself, is it really as fearful as I thought? Is it as bad as it seems? And from there, he can take the necessary logical steps to combat the fear. To overcome your fears, it means that you really have to get to know them, take them out of hiding. When you understand where your fear is coming from, why they exist, how they make you feel, all of that, you can begin to recognize them for what they are. Just thoughts and feelings that aren't always necessarily true. Here are 4 steps that you can take to change your relationship with fear. Remember, the goal is not to eliminate fear. Think of fear like a flame that eventually dims down. Sometimes the fear is still with us, right? We still feel it, but we still move forward regardless of that fear. Sometimes we have to do that dance and work with the fear. The goal is just to change your relationship with fear, to learn to use logic and take an objective lens and ask yourself, if what I'm really afraid of, will it come true? What is the percentage of this coming true? And if indeed it is something that 100% is going to happen, then it's time for me to adjust my feelings around this thing, because then at that point, it's out of my control. Then I have to shift and adjust my focus. So the fear here might not be the fear itself, but just the fear of losing control. And once you continue to go deep into understanding what those fears are for you, once you get to the root, you'll start by looking at what is causing the fear and then decide how much energy are you going to pour towards your fears and your doubts. Next, you want to identify in what timeline is my fear showing up? Am I feeling fear of the future? Am I feeling fear of the past? Or is it the present? Is there something that's going on right now in the immediate moment? Is it fear of failure? Is it fear that others won't approve? Do you fear what other people think about you? Are you feeling like you don't have enough time? Sometimes we get really caught up like, I don't have enough time. I'm running out of time. I'm too old to learn something new, to do something different. The future is not here. The past is gone. The only moment that you have right now is this present moment. So the question here is not necessarily the fear. So the focus here is, how can I be more present and more appreciative of my present moment? Lastly, understand how your fears affect other areas of your life, such as relationship, work, career, finances. How do they affect your health? Your ability to make this connection will encourage you to answer the following questions. What is the trade-off of me holding on to this fear? What am I gaining and what am I losing? Fear is all about perspective. Ask yourself, what would be worse, having this thing happen or not having this thing happen? What would be worse, failing at doing something or not trying at all? What would be worse, taking action towards your ideal life or remaining stagnant? It's so important. I know I said it already, but it's so important to change how you relate to fear. That relationship needs to shift and begin to understand that fear is a necessary part of transformation. The truth is, facing your fear with honesty, compassion, grace, and forgiveness will transform your life and turn you into the best version of who you want to be. So fear, if you allow it, again, can be the catalyst that drastically changes your life for the better. So you can be overtaken by fear, or you can harness the insights that you receive from fear to live a wildly beautiful life. Thank you for watching the Monday Message. I hope some of this resonated with you, and I hope it encouraged you to fear such a programming. And that's a whole nother episode. That's a whole nother Monday Message. But if you appreciate the message, please like, subscribe, and share. And just leave a comment in the section. Let me know which part of this video resonated with you the most. And I'll see you on the other side of change.